All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Going to be touching on the top showdown plays here for this Monday night showdown between the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. And so we go ahead and take a peek at the game preview. We can see it is almost a 7.5 point spread in favor of the Buffalo Bills winning, and it is a 47 for the over and under. So it is a very high scoring game. In terms of injuries, there isn't too much in terms of significance. We do need to get news on Leonard Fournette. If he's active, that could kind of change the dynamic of the slate in terms of appealing running back plays. Okay, looking at it right now, though, we do know that Dawson Knox is still out. So with that being said, the two players that we've been on the last two Buffalo Bills showdown slates, Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid, are still going to be those two plays that we want to be on again today. We'll just see if the prices come up too much to the point where they are no longer lineup locked. I don't think so. I think we can make it work. For Denver, my biggest question mark on the slate is what is going to happen with their snap. And I bring that up because obviously in a game in which they are favored to lose by, over a touchdown, that should mean that maybe someone like Marvin Mims finally has a lot of snaps. We saw him get 30 in the last, or 2 games ago, and then 40 in the last game. To me, coming in off of a bye, I kind of expect him to get to 50% of the snaps in this game. Now, I don't know who he's going to take over snap share-wise. I just expect him to get more snap. And to me, that's kind of a make or break point on the slate. It is a part of your lineup process that you can stack with Russell Wilson. And I do think, kind of given that dynamic of this game, like I was doing a prop video earlier, Javonte Williams was projected to get like 13 or 14 carries. To me, that tells us we can't play Russell Wilson then if that happens. So let's actually go ahead and start out with the Denver Broncos. So looking at the Denver Broncos on this slate, to me, kind of the starting point should be Javonte Williams. The question becomes, do we want to play him in the captain spot or in the flex spot? I'm probably looking at him in the flex spot. That being said, the Bills defense is not great right now because they are still a little bit banged up. Looking at Javonte Williams, I do expect him to get a heavy workload. The issue that I have with that, and I do think that looking at that game against the Chiefs in retrospect, watching game film on that, they're probably like, okay, we need to limit his carries. We cannot be having Javonte Williams, who has had issues health-wise, continue to get that type of workload. At the same time, that's what led them to a victory. So maybe we do see that again. Maybe not that many carries, like 18 or so total opportunities. That wouldn't be out of the norm, I would say. Like that's probably what I'm expecting here. So he has looked good. They want to give him the ball. He obviously played a lot of snaps in the last game, playing about 66% of the snaps. You can beat the Bills on the ground. And so I want to get there with Javonte Williams. So I'm going to play him in the flex spot. And then from there, to me, it does kind of just seem like a toss-up. Like, do we want to play Courtland Sutton? It's tough. He's been a touchdown machine. That's been true. But really, we look at Russell Wilson's stats. They've been a little bit too efficient lately. I mean, the passing yards are pretty much not there. Under 250 passing yards in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight games. Now, sure, he is making up for that with rushing the football a little bit. And that's where a lot of Russell Wilson's value, I would say, on this slate is going to be, is rushing the football. To me, though, it is tough to get to Russell Wilson and Javonte Williams in the same lineup because it doesn't really correlate too well. To me, like another kind of correlation play I would be actually going like Russell Wilson, maybe Courtland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy, and then maybe going P. Ryan, because if it is a passing game, a game in which they're playing from behind, I do expect P. Ryan to get some work. And then we're probably looking at Marvin Mims Jr. because then he becomes a little bit too cheap. When he is on the field, at least early on in the season, they were trying to get him the football. We haven't seen that as much this or later on in the season. I kind of expect that to get corrected coming in off of the bye week. Also could see Jaleel McLaughlin a little bit more involved, but they seem to like P. Ryan as the fourth down or the third down back, the passing down back. So I guess we got to respect that. So I do think that this is another way to go about doing it, but it is tough to get to the Broncos. To me, they're kind of just lineup fillers. The one I'm going out of my way to play is going to be Javonte Williams. And I will say Adam Troutman as price tag is too cheap for a guy that played 80% of the snaps. And if you look at Russell Wilson being as efficient throwing the football as he was in terms of touchdowns, like it wouldn't be too crazy to see someone like Troutman get a touchdown. Now, we got lucky last night with Michael Mayer getting a touchdown. I don't expect that to happen again this week or tonight. Let's go ahead and take a peek at Buffalo because I do think we are probably trying to load up on Buffalo. Obviously, they are 7-point favorites. The question becomes, where do we go lineup pathwise? So I do think Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, those are kind of just easy clicks. We want to be getting onto those players. Also, the same thing with Dalton Kincaid. To me, those are 3 just easy lineup locks. Like Dalton Kincaid, this is one of the best matchups for tight ends on the season. And don't get me wrong, the Denver defense has played better as a whole lately. At the same time, they have still been giving up production to the tight end position. So Kincaid feels like an easy play, even at that high price tag. I do still like Diggs, extremely consistent. I think he's going to put up at least 15. We're fine with that. Same thing with Josh Allen. From there, I do think Khalil Shakir is going to be my captain's play just because, well, I expect him to get more snaps in this game. We saw him go from 36 to, I thought it'd be closer to 50 in that game. It ended up being 66 and then 70 last week. That number could get up to 75 this week. And it is kind of interesting that like Gabe Davis is still getting work. but at the same time, we're just seeing him kind of slot into the Dawson Knox role, and he's just a good talent. I think anyone that's seen the games would say that he has been a kind of low-key stud. And so to me, it's not shocking that Gabe Davis has seen his value kind of drop off while Shakir's value has risen. To me, it does feel like we are kind of playing one or the other. And then from there, 3.2 left over. This is where I'm like, all right, it's a weird slate. What do we try to do? You could go McLaughlin. I don't mind that. It's just feels a little bit thin. Other Buffalo Bills players that we could be on, you know, maybe Trent Sherfield, maybe Latavius Murray falls into the end zone. That's just trying to get lucky, right? I don't want to get to James Cook, even though it seemingly is a good matchup. He's just too high priced. I just want to bet on the players that we kind of know how the production's going to go. And so this is where, all right, we might not have to play Kincaid in the captain spot, or sorry, Khalil Shakir in the captain spot. Maybe we can get to Kincaid, who might have a little bit more upside. We can still play Khalil Shakir down there. And then we have like 1.2 left over. We could go down to like Trent Sherfield. We could go down to Adam Troutman. I'd kind of be fine with that. Maybe we try to get very unique, because I do think Javonte Williams is going to get a heavy workload, at least opportunities wise. So maybe you just go with Javonte Williams in the captain spot, still go Kincaid. Then you have 1.8 left over, maybe a little bit more of a balanced build. You go with Latavius Murray if you wanted to. Let's say you wanted to fade Javonte Williams. I would say that makes the slate a little bit easier, but even still, it's going to be tough to like fit in another pass catcher. Like you'd almost have to go something stupid like Marvin Mims in the captain spot, try to get real lucky. And 1.8, then you're still probably going Latavius. Like it's okay. So like here's a weird lineup that, you know, maybe leaving some salary left over could work. Here's kind of an ugly one where I had a fade Dig, but it kind of works a little bit. Maybe he gets contained. I don't think you're going to stop Diggs, but maybe he gets contained. But then if I'm doing a lineup like this, I almost want to try to get to Gabe Davis instead, because I think obviously Shakir we're fine with. I do think Kincaid will have a good game, but maybe we try to get to Gabe Davis and then it just barely doesn't work, right? Like that's a little bit of a pain there. And so that's the tough part about that. But that's going to be all for this video. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel to get more coverage of the NFL DFS season, guys. Good season thus far. Let's continue it rolling this week and tonight. Thank you guys for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cash.